Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this work session to order on AR 2021-76, approving deteriorated property tax exemption for improvements constructed on certain parcels. Before we get into the roll call, just want to note for the record that Mr. Weddleton, Ms. Allard, and Mr. Constant won't be able to join us today, and that Mr. Dunbar will be late. Let's go ahead and do a roll call of the remaining members, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So Ms. Allard and Mr. Constant and Mr. Dunbar's not here yet? No. Let's see. Ms. Kennedy?
Here.
And Ms. LaFrance?
Here.
Mr. Presverdia? Mr. Peterson?
Present.
Mr. Rivera?
Present.
Mr. Weddleton? Ms. Salatel?
Great, thank you. As normal, if members want to get in the queue, please put yourself in the chat. If you can't access the chat, please text me. Just a quick note before we turn it over to the presentation. Usually the Assembly does not do work sessions on Thursday afternoons unless we have a busy Friday, and it turns out that we do have a busy Friday tomorrow. So thanks for the members who could attend, and for those who could not, I know that they will be listening to the recording before we vote on Tuesday. So with that, turn it over to the presentation.
Thank you, Chair Rivera. This is Alex Slivka, Chief Fiscal Officer. We don't have anything written to present. I think the document itself is very self-explanatory and very detailed, but just as a reminder, this is the second step in the process of granting tax abatement. The first step is to declare the properties a deteriorated area. You accomplished that goal previously, and so the applicant, Cook Inlet Housing Authority, has made application for tax abatement under Municipal Code 12-35. I'm not going to read it, but in summation, the way it works is the application is made to the Office of the Chief Fiscal Officer. I review it in conjunction with Economic and Community Development, Mr. Schuette's team, as well as legal, which is Ralph Dwyer and others, and as well as Jack Adamus with the assessor. We spend a lot of time looking at the information provided, and in this case, the determination was made that the application did meet code, and we are recommending tax abatement as is laid out in the resolution. I will stop there. I will say that pursuant to code, we were provided with some financial information in making the decision. That financial information is confidential and will not be shared. But we do have two people from Cook Inlet Housing, Tyler Robinson and Mark Feineman, with us, and they would be available to answer any questions that members may have. So I will stop there.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from the members? All right, I'm not seeing any. Did you have anything else, Mr. Slivka, or?
I had nothing more. I mean, as I've said, it's very straightforward. All the information needed is in the resolution itself. If you're interested in having Cook Inlet talk about their goals for the property, if that's helpful, they're available if you would like them to do that.
Great. I'll go ahead and go to Mr. Peterson, and then I'll invite Cook Inlet to speak. Mr. Peterson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that sounds like a great idea. Let's let Cook Inlet tell us what the situation is there. And my question was, I was wondering, is this how many times have we used this particular ordinance in the past? Is this like the second time? I think we at least attempted to use it in the past. I don't know whether that project ever came to fruition or not.
I will let Mr. Schuette, because he has the historical knowledge. I know that you have recently used it for the reconstruction of the Key Bank Tower, which is in process. But Mr. Schuette can speak to the more historical nature of that.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, Mr. Slivka got it 99% right. There's been 4 applications, 3 approvals using this, or this would be the third, if approved on Tuesday, of the deteriorated property tax abatement portion of code. It's one that I think is perhaps being used, will be used more frequently, because we have a significant number of properties in Anchorage that do need rehabilitation and redevelopment. And this is one way that those projects are able to pencil. Both Tyler and Mark can speak in greater detail, I hope speak in greater detail about the role that this tool played in getting them from a no-go decision to a go decision, because it is an important part of completing the finances needed to pull these things off. And I think, like I said, we'll see a few more coming down the pike here as people begin to redevelop our underdeveloped and blighted properties.
Okay, great, thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, not seeing anyone else in the queue, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Cook Inlet.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the Assembly and staff. My name is Tyler Robinson. I work with Cook Inlet, and as we stated, I'm here with my colleague Mark Feynman. I appreciate Mr. Slivka's and the rest of the staff's recommendation of this tax abatement for approval. We worked with them over the past couple of months to analyze a project that, given the nature of the project as an affordable housing development and done by, for the most part, a mission-driven organization in Cook Inlet Housing, is evaluated a little bit differently than a private project. That being said, when we take on developments that meet the definition of deteriorated, it puts us at the same sort of disadvantage that a private developer might deal with in sort of their realm, if you will. And by that, I mean, this parcel has a significant number of challenges. We have been working on acquiring parcels, remediating, platting, site planning, and securing funding for this development for about 10 years now. I've been at Cook Inlet for 10 years, and I can tell you that I started working on this project in my first year there. I think that the one thing I'd add to what Mr. Schutte said is that we have, Mr. Peterson used this tool going back to 2007 for our first Grass Creek Village development at Creekside Town Center. Similar situation in that there was some remediation required at that site. I think that site has proven to be, that development has proven to be a positive addition to East Anchorage, and we hope to do the same in West Anchorage and the Spenard area. I would also say that you'll note in the memo the public benefits, and I certainly appreciate you all recognizing affordable housing as itself a public benefit. I would also add that as part of our development requirements there, we have just entered into a subdivision agreement with the municipality that includes some upgrades to Chugach Way and Dorbrant. Those are 2 public streets that remain public, as well as the extension of a water main that gets a little bit closer to not only serving our properties, but additional properties that, while in Midtown, are not served by public water. We think those are benefits, again, not just to our site, but to the neighborhood overall. We believe that some of the green space amenities and sort of path that we are providing for our residents will also prove to be an amenity for people that live in the neighborhood. And I think, just to sum up, this is the first phase of what we hope will be an 86 unit overall development. This is 48 units. It includes senior housing and non-senior housing, and includes housing in studios, 1 and 2 bedroom units. And we hope to have a second phase that includes 2 and 3 bedroom units. So this overall development will serve seniors, small households, and we hope families at some point in the future. It's been a long way to get there, and I think the partnership with the municipality, this tax abatement does allow us to basically be able to make a feasible project on the capital side, and we believe that we satisfy the other requirement to sort of have we're confident that we have a project that will be a sustainable and feasible project in the long term. It will serve a minimum 30-year affordability period, but given that it's Cook Inlet Housing that is the owner, manager, and developer, it's likely that it'll have some form of affordability longer term. And we hope that it also helps catalyze a different investment, additional investment in the neighborhood, whether that is commercial or additional residential, be that ownership or market rate rental as well. So with that, Mark and I are here for any questions that you might have. Thanks for the opportunity.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from Assembly members?
Oh, okay, Mr. Chairman, this is Pete again.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Tyler, you mentioned the Grass Creek project here in Muldoon. And yes, that was definitely improvement to this part of town. And I've heard a lot of good comments about that. How many units are in the Grass Creek area? Is that a bigger project than the one in West Anchorage you're planning?
Through the chair, the Grass Creek Village project was our first phase in that part of Muldoon, and that was 80 units, again, going back a number of years. Since then, we have brought online, a whole bunch more housing that includes not just our housing, but market rate home ownership housing as well. When you put these affordable housing developments together and compete for funding, and we compete for funding at the national level, local level, and the state level, it is becoming increasingly challenging to do one phase more than, call it 40 or 50 units. And in fact, one of the reasons why it took us a while to get this application through is we actually were not successful with the state for what is considered the 9% low-income housing tax credits. This project didn't compete well enough for those credits compared to other projects throughout the state. Why? In part because there are some costs that get driven higher due to the nature of the site itself and the challenges of developing at this site. So what we've come back with is a different sort of source of funds to put this development together. But we believe that when you get to that 40 or 50 unit sort of size threshold, that's about as big as you'll see funded anymore by by HFC in this sort of low-income housing tax credit development size. So as much as I would like to see 80 units all at one time, like we did back in 2007, it'll take us hopefully 2 times to get there, just given costs and the amount of resources that we have as a state.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, not seeing any further questions in the queue. I really thank Cook Inlet for walking us through that. I'm excited to see the end results, and thanks to the administration, Mr. Slipka, for walking us through the application process. With that, looking forward to the public hearing and vote on Tuesday. I'll go ahead and end this work session early and wish everyone a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.